Rich man he wife pregnant. But when she goes, he desperately wants her back. Director Han? A junior assistant asks, hovering at the doorway. Your mother wants you downstairs in 5. Of course, he says, and his voice is a polished surface you could slip on. You watch him walk through the corridor where the walls hold framed headlines. Hanul Group breaks records. Hanul acquires new frontier, and you notice how his eyes touch none of them. He steps into the elevator. The doors close like a swallow. Downstairs, the lobby roars with quiet power. Hushed conversations, the low pulse of money moving. His mother, Choi Ji-yeon, stands in white like freshly fallen snow that never melts. She doesn't embrace him. Instead, she reaches to smooth a non-existent crease on his suit. Investors will be watching, she murmurs. No surprises. I know I don't need to say it. You've already said it, he answers. And for a second, a bruise of humor colors his tone. Fades quickly. Let's go. You hold that image, the immaculate mother, the compliant son, and I'll take you across the river into light that feels different. The hospital hallway smells of citrus disinfectant and warm soup from someone's lunchbox. Nurses speak softly here, not because anyone demanded it, but because comfort has its own language. Anna moves along the corridor, the pocket of her scrubs full of pens and tiny folded notes for her patients. When she smiles, you feel the gravity change. Do you ever rest? The elderly woman in bed 307 teases. I rest when you promise to drink water, Anna replies, placing a fresh cup within reach. You sound like my granddaughter. I'll take that as a compliment. She steps into the supply room, door clicking behind her, and for a moment her shoulders drop. She pulls out her phone. 2 messages, one from Sun-hee, are you on for rice cakes after shift? And one from a contact labeled Simply J. She opens his first. Busy morning. Meeting ran long. Dinner at 8. Her thumb hovers. She lets herself picture his face when he's not performing. When they're in the small apartment kitchen, sleeves pushed up, arguing about whether ramen can count as a meal. He laughs differently there with his whole body. That laughter is a promise she trusts more than any bouquet. 8 is late, she types, but I'll wait. When she returns to the hall, you're with her, yes? You can feel how she moves. A person who learned early that love is not grand gestures but steady hands at difficult hours. She does not know the aquarium boardroom. She does not want to. Evening bleeds into the city, neon waking like stars that decided to live closer. You and I follow Anna to the river first, because she's early and she likes to wait where lights skip on water. The breeze lifts her hair, and she presses her palms to the railing, counting boats. When Jaemin arrives, he's 10 minutes late, then 5 more. You see him before she does. A silhouette against glass towers, smaller somehow, as if his suit carries its own weight. Sorry, he says, breath flaring. I work, she fills in, not unkindly. Is that an accusation? His smile tries to be charming, but it's a band-aid on a cut that needs stitches. It's the truth, she answers, looking back at the water. And I know why. It's your family, your company, your name. He follows her gaze, but he's not looking at the river. He's looking at the future, the one with charts and signatures. The merger announcement is in 3 weeks. If this goes right, everything changes. And if it goes wrong? He turns to her fully. In the soft dark, he looks younger. Not the heir, but the boy who once took a bus too far and walked home under a storm because he was stubborn and proud. If it goes wrong, I fix it. Alone. I'm not alone, he says quickly. I have you. There it is. You feel the warmth in her chest, the soft flare of hope. But hope is careful with her. Then be with me, she says simply. Not later. Now. They walk along the path, the city making a crown of light above them. He tells her about the consensus his mother demands, about the board that treats feelings like glitches in a system. She tells him about Mrs. Kwan, who whispers to her late at night that she already misses her husband even though he's still living. People can be so close, Anna says, and still be far away. Anna, he says, and the way he says her name is almost a prayer. Sometimes I think I'm standing between two doors. If I open one, I close the other. I don't know which room is home. They stop under a bridge where the sounds grow hollow, echoing back. He reaches for her hands. His palms are colder than she expects. If I have to choose between you and Hanul, he says, voice low, and you can feel the city hold its breath. I don't know how to choose. The sentence doesn't slam. It sinks, like a stone finding the bottom. She doesn't pull away. She lets the words sit between them, heavy and honest. I'm not asking you to choose, she says softly. I'm asking you to remember who you are when you're not choosing. Who am I then? The man who learned how to slice pears the way I like, so I won't waste the edges. The man who waited 3 hours on the ER bench with a teenage brother who wasn't his but acted like he was. The man who laughs with his whole body in my kitchen. He swallows. His eyes shine but do not spill. That man feels like a secret I keep, and secrets spoil. Then stop hiding him. Together they buy fish cakes from a street cart, steam fogging the air. The vendor jokes with them. They eat, leaning close, and for a moment everything is ordinary in the way that makes life worth practicing. He apologizes for being late again. She teases him about his tie. He tells her about a stray cat that sunbathes outside the building's revolving doors like it owns the place. She laughs, tipping her head back, and you feel his heart reach. They ride the subway shoulder to shoulder, and the city presses in with them school bags, work bags, grocery bags, the soft exhaustion of a million days. He watches her fingers trace the map above the door, a habit that calms her. She watches his reflection in the window, layered over tunnels and flickers of light. He wants to say more. He wants to say, I'm scared. He wants to say, stay. Instead, he says, 8 tomorrow? She looks at him, something unreadable flickering. 7, she says, before the city gets loud. In her apartment, she hangs her coat, sets her bag down, and leans her forehead against the door for a breath. She thinks of the boy he is beneath the glass. She thinks of the woman she has promised herself to become. One who does not beg love to grow, one who waters her own roots. She takes a long shower, steam wrapping her like a promise. In the mirror, she traces the wet outline of her face. Who am I when I'm not choosing? She whispers and smiles because she knows. Across the city, he stands alone in the dark kitchen of a home with too many views. He opens the fridge and stares at the sterile order of it. Everything labeled, everything in place, everything cold. He closes it without taking anything. On the counter, a single pear sits where she left it last week. He picks up the knife, remembers the way she does it, and begins to slice. Slowly, carefully, saving the edges. He eats it with his fingers, as if tasting might help him remember. His phone buzzes. A calendar alert. Investor breakfast. Another mother 7 a.m. prep. He silences both. Then he types a message, deletes it, types again. Let's meet at 7. Before the city gets loud. He sends it. The quiet after is different. Not empty. Waiting. While soul turns in its sleep, you can feel them on opposite sides of the river, holding the same thread. One is learning how to speak without boards and signatures. The other is learning how not to shrink for anyone's comfort. The night presses its ear to their windows, listening. And somewhere inside both of them, something stubborn and tender refuses to be archived in a frame on a wall. Você diz. Certo, agora tu como narrador e storyteller desenvolva a história sem marcos com o nome de cada tópico que for desenvolve. Me conte sobre o tópico tu com dialogo como su faço espectador. Sempre lembrando de desenvolver com muita emoção. Com muitos sentimentos de forma que a estrutura de narrativa utiliza uma linha temporal linear de modo o espectador sentir o que o personagem está sentindo amigos. Com 6.000 characters o ChatGPT diz. Morning comes soft and pale, the kind of light that doesn't insist yet. They meet before the city finds its volume, at a cafe that opens early for shift workers and night owls finally surrendering. He arrives with wet cuffs and a paper bag of chestnut bread. She is already there, hands wrapped around a cup like it's a small animal she's keeping warm. You're early, he says. You asked for 7. She smiles. Before the city gets loud. He sits, the chairs scrape gentle on tile. There's a happiness in him that looks almost shy. Come with me today, he says. Let's do it. Do what? She watches him, though she already knows. Marry me, he says. Not kneeling, not dramatic, but with a steadiness that makes her heartbeat tilt. No cameras, no articles, just us. She exhales like she'd been holding a string inside her and finally let go. Today, before the calls start, before my mother's calendar swallows me whole, I don't want anyone else to put a label on this. His fingers drum the paper bag. I don't want a perfect wedding. I want a true one. She thinks of vows that are more than decorations. She thinks of the way his shoulders drop when he's safe in her kitchen. Okay, she whispers, and the word is a door opening. At Mapogu office, the clerk yawns politely and asks for IDs. The fluorescent lights are honest to the point of cruelty. 2 witnesses sign. Sun Hee, hair up, eyes bright with tears, and Min Soo from Jae-min's team, who keeps glancing at his phone as if it might explode into confetti or fire. They stamp the form with a red dojang, the seal bleeding a neat circle into paper. That's it. A legal line has been drawn, a bridge built in ink. Outside, they stand together on the steps, grinning at nothing. He holds up the form like it's a kite. We did it. We really did. She tucks a loose strand behind her ear. Is this where we throw rice at ourselves? This is where we eat breakfast, he says. And they end up at a corner place with steel chopsticks and ajumas who don't have time for romance because the soup has to be hot for everyone. They share kimchi jjigae, and he burns his tongue, and she laughs so loudly the table next to them smiles too. He fumbles a ring into her palm. Silver, simple, a tiny moonstone like a drop of morning. It's not extravagant, he says. It's us, she answers, sliding it on. It fits. Their phones find them as phones do. His buzzes with a calendar ripple. Hers hums with a checking in from the ward. He glances down at his screen and then up at her, expression shifting like light under cloud. There's one thing, he says. 2 things, maybe. Only 2? She teases softly, but her chest tightens, a barometer reading the change in pressure. I promised legal I'd stop by. There's a prenup. It's standard. It protects both of us. He reaches for her hand. And PR wants a framework, so we can have peace. For now, until the merger announcement. She hears the words, standard, protects, framework, and feels their edges. Okay, she says, because love does not mean refusing reality. After breakfast, the law office in Gangnam smells like lemon and a kind of expensive that doesn't need to declare itself. A junior associate ushers them into a conference room where water bottles stand like soldiers and pens align in military precision. The partner, Mr. Park, smiles with all his teeth and none of his eyes. Congratulations, he says. We'll be brief. I understand. You're busy. He slides a stack of pages forward. This is the premarital agreement. Separate property regimes. Clear spousal support terms to avoid uncertainty. A non-disparagement clause to keep private matters private. And a confidentiality provision regarding family business details. Anna runs her fingers lightly over the paper, not yet turning a page. What does non-disparagement mean? Mr. Park steeples his hands. You both agree not to make statements that could harm each other's reputation. Online to media in public. It's very common. She nods, then reads. She reads slowly, lips moving, nurse eyes catching what others miss. There are words about image and brand alignment, about appearances at public events coordinated by the communications office. A section suggests that personal social media should be strategically quiet. Her chest warms then cools, a tide pulled by the moon of common sense and the dark gravity of surrender. Jae-min watches her. He hates the way these pages look on the table between them, like a wedge. It's temporary, he says, just until the announcement. Then we can renegotiate. We'll have breathing room. What about my work? She asks, eyes on a paragraph. It says I should avoid shifts that conflict with brand commitments. Mr. Park tilts his head. We recommend flexibility. Nurses are beloved by the public, but late-night emergency wards can be unpredictable for scheduling. She looks up, gaze steady. People don't schedule their emergencies. A knock, then another man enters without waiting. He's younger, slim suit, smooth as a touchscreen. Director Han, he says, offering a card without a bow. Kong Communications. Sorry to intrude. He isn't. 2 minutes. We'll keep it human. He unrolls a color printout like a banner. A grid of images, do's and don'ts. No posts from cluttered apartments. Nothing with alcohol bottles in frame. Avoid sun-damaging lighting. We want you both luminous. If you volunteer at the hospital, wonderful, but get photos approved first. And this is crucial, no talk of family planning until we have a narrative. Anna's chair scrapes back a fraction. A narrative? She repeats, tasting the artificial sweetness of it. Kong smiles. People don't like facts. They like stories that behave. She turns to Jaemin. Is this what you meant by peace? He looks wrecked with a kind of politeness. This is what I meant by temporary. I'm trying to build a shield for us. Is it a shield if it locks me in? He flinches, just a blink, then reaches. Anna, please. I want to do this right. I want you. I want us. I also have a mother who counts my breaths and a board that counts my blinks. I'm not asking you to become someone else. I'm asking you to let me buy us time. She sits again, hands folded, spine straight as a prayer. Then we set our own lines, she says. I keep my job. I keep my savings separate. I will not be used as a billboard. I'll go to events if they don't steal my nights from the ward. No one, your mother, your PR, your board, walks into my hospital or my home without being invited. Mr. Park clears his throat. We can add an addendum. Boundaries are healthy. Kang's pen pauses. We can soften some language. And, she says, soft but firm, if we disagree, we speak to each other before we speak to the world. Silence takes a breath. Jaemin feels something unclench, fear or pride, he can't tell. Deal, he says, and the word is not corporate. It is intimate, a clasp of hands in a storm. They sign where tabs tell them to sign. The paper is cool under her wrist. The pen is heavier than it looks. With each signature, she feels two truths. Love has to live somewhere real, and real places are never perfectly tidy. When they step back onto the sidewalk, Sol is fully awake, traffic snarling like a living thing. He threads his fingers through hers. Are you okay? I will be, she says. If we treat this as a home we're building, not a story they're selling. He laughs, surprised by relief. You always say the exact sentence I need and don't want. That's marriage? She replies, and the word startles them both and then settles like a bird on a branch it trusts. They buy convenience store carnations because the florist isn't open and because carnations don't mind being second choice. He insists on carrying them. She insists on paying for lunch. They argue about nothing and everything on the subway. Why people stand in front of doors, how spicy is actually spicy, whether the cat outside Hanul's revolving doors is real or a myth invented by overworked assistants. He puts his head on her shoulder between stops. She lets him. At her apartment, they pin one photo to the wall. A self-timer, blurry but honest. Their heads tilted together, the red stamp peeking like a secret. He kisses her in the tiny kitchen where happiness doesn't echo because the room is too full for it to bounce. For a few hours, time behaves. They wash dishes. They nap back-to-back like commas in the middle of a long sentence. His phone breaks the spell first. The screen lights the room like a small, impatient moon. I have to go, he says, guilt already threading his voice. A prep call. She nods because she understands too much. Go, she says. Come back. I will. He kisses her again, longer, as if trying to embed the promise in the air. At the door, he hesitates. Thank you, he adds, surprising them both. For what? For marrying me today. He smiles, crooked and young. For choosing ordinary over spectacle. For choosing me. She watches him leave, the hallway swallowing him, and feels both full and hollow. She touches the ring, a moonstone catching kitchen light, and then the paper on the table with their names bound together, and for a moment she lets herself cry. Not out of regret, out of the serious weight of vows. Across the river, he steps back into glass and agendas. His mother calls, voice cool, silk over steel. I heard you're at Park's office. Tell me you're being sensible. I'm being married, he says quietly. There is a small, stunned silence. We will discuss optics, she says at last. We will discuss boundaries, he answers, and his own voice surprises him. The clean edge of it, the way it doesn't wobble. He hangs up. He stares at his reflection in the elevator doors. Somewhere, a cat may or may not be sunning by the revolving glass. He thinks of her carnations in their convenience store wrapper. He thinks of soup and the burn on his tongue. He thinks of the promise to speak to her before the world. You okay, son? He asks, catching her elbow. Didn't eat enough, she says, shaking it off. I'll get crackers. Get real food, son, he says. You're somebody's wife now. He can afford rice. I can afford rice, Anna answers, but her laugh is thin. The smell of antiseptic nudges her stomach. She swallows, breathes through it, and gets back to work. By late afternoon, the nausea blooms again, then eases, then returns. In the break room, she opens a yogurt and closes it without a spoonful. Her hand drifts to her lower belly without her permission. The thought arrives quiet, like a stranger stepping into a room and standing near the window as if it belongs there. No, maybe. When she finishes her shift, she doesn't go home. The neon cross of the pharmacy marks the corner. Inside, aisles hum under fluorescent certainty. She stands in front of a shelf that offers answers in small plastic wands, pretending to read labels though every brand promises the same miracle or the same fear. She picks one, then another for good measure. At the register, the clerk doesn't look up. The bag crinkles like a secret in her palm. The restroom down the hall has a door that squeaks and a mirror that is kinder than it looks. She follows the instructions with clinical hands she's trained to trust. There's a beat and another. She watches as if waiting for a sunrise only she can see. 2 lines bloom. There is no orchestra here, no crescendo. Just air thickening as if the room is learning how to hold a new weather. She sits on the closed lid, the test stick laid carefully on a paper towel like a fragile relic. Her chest tightens. Tears come that don't belong to sadness alone. Joy is there, too, and terror, and a fierce, immediate, ridiculous love for a cluster of cells that already feels like a story she would die to protect. Her phone lights. A message from him. Dinner at 8. I'll book somewhere quiet. She stares at the screen, the word quiet gleaming. She types and erases twice. Then 8 is late. But I'll wait. She walks home with the tests buried under a pack of tissues in her bag. Fingertips brushing the ring and then the plastic. Ring, plastic, as if touching both will teach her how to hold them at the same time. In the tiny kitchen, she sets water to boil because motion helps, because steam fills the air with something survivable. She takes the tests out and lines them up on a napkin the way she lines up medication cups on a tray, order against panic. When the doorbell chimes at 8:40, she is halfway between breath and prayer. He arrives with hair damp and apology radiating off him like heat from a car hood. I'm sorry, he says, hands out. Meeting ran long, she finishes. A smile that isn't armor, just tired. You're here. I'm here. He steps in, glances at the table where the napkin lies with its 2 white truths. He doesn't see them yet. He's busy taking off his shoes, placing them side by side as if gentle with every object she owns might make up for time he can't return. They don't go out. They eat noodles standing at the counter because the surprise of the day is already big enough to fill the room. He tells her a tame version of the battles he fought. A board member who thinks love is a liability. A lawyer who thinks feelings aren't facts. She tells him about Mrs. Kwan finally drinking water without arguing. About Sun. He's smuggling a tangerine into the break room like contraband. And you? He asks, reaching. How are you? He asks it as if it's a sacred question, not a line item between agenda points. She folds her fingers around the napkin without meaning to. She stops. The world slows enough to fit this moment. I have something. He watches her face the way he watches markets. Looking for direction, for risk. Okay. She opens the napkin and places the test in his palm. His skin warms the plastic. He stares, uncomprehending for the length of a breath, and then he understands. Anna, he says, and her name breaks on a shore inside him. Where are we? Yes. Her throat tightens. We are. His eyes lift to hers, and you see the child he once was looking at fireworks. The man he is now scanning a horizon. The son who learned to measure love in losses avoided. He laughs once, shaky, then chokes on it, then laughs again. He sits down because standing is too complicated. He holds the test like it might fall without his attention. When? He asks. 5 weeks, maybe. I'll confirm with blood work. Early. Very early. We're going to have... He can't finish the sentence, as if speaking the word might call doom. I want to do this right. I know. He goes quiet. Not the comfortable quiet they share, but the quiet that comes when two maps don't line up and the path is suddenly a question. He looks down again at the test. The clock ticks. It's not loud. It's just there, counting. This changes the timeline, he says, and the sentence falls heavy between them. She nods, waiting for the rest that doesn't arrive fast enough. Which timeline? The announcement, the optics. He grimaces at his own word choice. I mean, how we tell people, not people. The board, my mother, the investors. If this leaks before the merger, they'll... He stops himself. I'm doing it wrong. She feels the air cooler on her skin now, like a window open somewhere. Say what you mean, she whispers. He exhales. I mean, I'm happy. I'm terrified, and I'm happy. I mean, I want you safe, and I want them far from us. I mean, I need to think about how to protect you and the baby from the machine I'm inside of. You started with the machine, she says softly. I know. He covers his face with his hands, then drops them. I know. You told me you didn't know how to choose, she says. I told you I wasn't asking you to choose. I'm asking you to remember who you are. I'm trying, he says, voice raw. Help me. Then start here, she says, guiding his hand from the test to her belly, where nothing shows yet, where everything already is. Start by choosing us, first, in the room where there are no cameras. He nods, and you see him choose in a way that is not a statement but a posture. He leans forward and presses his forehead to her stomach like a prayer. Hi, he says, voice trembling. I'm clumsy, but I will learn. She laughs through tears, fingers in his hair. We both will. His phone buzzes on the counter Kong. Drafting weekend narrative options. Need aligned language by morning. Another buzz, mother, breakfast 7. Do not be late. He stares at the screen as if it's a snake that has learned to knock politely before entering. Turn it off, she says. He does. The sudden silence blooms, warm and round. They sit on the kitchen floor with their backs against the cabinet, knees touching, and talk in the soft grammar of midnight. He tells her about a fear he never named, that he will become the father he had, present in title, absent in practice. She tells him about her mother's hands, how they cracked from work but never failed to be gentle, and how she intends to inherit only that. What do we tell them? He asks into the space where their future is starting to sketch itself. The truth, she says, but on our terms. They will demand terms. Then let them demand. We'll answer when we're ready. She squeezes his hand. I need one thing from you before we say anything. Anything. If they try to turn this into a story to calm the market, if they try to take our baby and draft a narrative, say no. Even if it costs. He doesn't answer immediately, and you can hear the gears in him that were installed by other hands, the ones that hum duty into his bones. Then he nods. I'll say no. Say it again. I'll say no. They fall asleep on top of the blanket, lights still on, bowls in the sink, tests on the table like two tiny lighthouses. Morning arrives with a sharper light. He wakes to a string of messages and a calendar bristling like a hedgehog. She wakes to a quieter body, nausea taking the morning off as if giving her grace. At the door, he lingers. I'll meet you after your shift. We can go to the clinic together. Blood work, whatever you need. That's what I need, she says. He kisses her, the ring catching on his collar, a small metallic promise. He steps into the hall. She hears his footsteps fade, then hears the elevator. She doesn't hear the neighbor's door open across the landing, or the soft click of a phone camera catching a frame that includes her table and something white and plastic in the corner of the shot. Eat, she orders. I don't like your color. I like yours, Anna replies, tearing the bread in half. She forces a smile. I'll be fine. She is mostly. Her body hums with a new frequency, and she moves carefully as if a song might skip. The day is full of small mercies. A patient whose pain finally yields to medication. A son who returns with soup he learned to make from a video. The fierce relief of normalcy. Yet whispers travel oddly. 2 interns at the sink, an administrator glancing twice, a phone lifted and lowered in the corridor. She doesn't know yet that a neighbor's blurred photo, her kitchen table, a white stick ghosting the edge, has been posted in a private chat that is not private at all. Across the river, glass eats the sky. Jamin steps into a conference room where the table gleams like ice and everything smells faintly of lemon and new paper. His mother sits at the head, posture a verdict. Kong from communications stands with a tablet and a face made for saying unfortunately quickly. Good morning, Jian says, which means sit. We have a situation. We have a family. He answers, and the defiance is gentle, but it is there. Kong swipes and a photo blooms on the screen. Not sharp enough to prove anything, clear enough to seed appetite. Unconfirmed visual, he says briskly. Caption guess who's going to be an heir? Posted in a building chat at 6:14, replicated in 2 finance gossip channels by 7:02. Our monitoring picked it up. A silence glides along the table like a blade. His mother never looks at the image. She looks at him. Containment. I won't deny my child, he says. The word hits him even as he says it, his child expanding inside his ribs. Who said deny? She smiles with no warmth. Delay. We craft a dignified timeline. Your wife. The word sounds borrowed from another language in her mouth. We'll need to be discreet. We'll arrange private care at Hanul Women's Clinic. No more shifts for a while. Kong, the scripts. Kong lays a folder in front of him, another in front of the empty chair beside him, as if Anna were here and in need of notes. Talking points. We're grateful for privacy during a personal season. Health comes first. Professional commitments will be adjusted temporarily. We also suggest a soft narrative, anemia, if anyone asks about hospital hours. It's sympathetic. Anemia? He repeats, disbelieving. People accept gentle lies when they come with a photo of flowers. Kong says, not unkindly. The market likes poems more than truth. Jian folds her hands. And there is the merger. If volatility spikes because of a scandal narrative, you will not be CEO of anything. The board will replace you with someone whose private life behaves. She lets the word hang like a chandelier. Your father managed this with tact. My father managed by pretending we didn't exist at breakfast, he says. Quietly, she blinks, elegant refusal to be wounded. You're sentimental this morning. I'm married this morning, he returns, and my wife is a nurse. She will not stop being a nurse because your friends like photographs of white dresses and silent women. Do not be vulgar, she says softly. We gave you every education so you could understand scale. A nurse is charming for charity ballots. She is less charming understudied by paparazzi in a cluttered apartment. The room cools by several degrees. He hears his pulse, feels the old stubborn ache, wanting to be a son who pleases and a man who lives. He hopes his voice doesn't shake. She is not a ballot. She is my family. Kong clears his throat, an airlock releasing pressure. Director Han, Mrs. Choi, let's find our overlap. We recommend 3 immediate steps. 1. Move Mrs. Han to a safer location. Temporary residence we control. 2. Freeze her social channels. No new posts. Approve any public-facing images through PR. 3. Schedule a medical appointment at our clinic. Discreet entry point. NDAs for staff. No, he says before he can soften it. She decides where she gets care. She has her own doctor. And where is her own doctor? His mother asks, eyes cool. At her hospital? With interns who sell stories for a weekend handbag? Don't be naive. Enough. He stands. I'll speak to Anna. We decide together. And we won't be hiding. Hiding is a word poor people use for privacy. Jian murmurs. We are asking you to be careful. Bring her here this afternoon. I want to see her face when she says no, so we can all understand what kind of woman she is. The sentence lands with more weight than volume. He hears the insult braided into it. Class, suspicion, the almost pitying tone reserved for women who don't understand how empires breathe. He gathers the folders without opening them. If you want to understand what kind of woman she is, he says steady, go to her ward at 3 a.m. and watch who holds the hands no one else wants to hold. He leaves before the air can answer. He texts Anna. Can we meet at 4? Somewhere neutral. Hotel coffee lounge? Neutral. She echoes, and the word makes her jaw tighten. Yes. At 4, she arrives first, the lounge hushed the way expensive places are hushed because people have paid for the silence. She chooses a table near a window for light and an exit for breath. When he walks in, his eyes find her the way metal finds magnet. Relief loosens his shoulders until he sees who walks in behind him. Mrs. Choi, Anna says, rising. She bows politely, a fraction deeper than she owes, because she learned early that dignity is not a costume. It's a muscle. Anna, Jian says, tasting the name. You look tired. I worked, Anna answers simply. Kong appears as if conjured by tension, setting down tea like an offering. Thank you for meeting us, he says with a retreating smile. We want to make sure you're safe. She looks at the extra chair, then at Jaemin. Is this what neutral means in your world? I asked for a conversation, he says, regret bleeding through. I didn't ask for an ambush. Then let me be blunt, Jian says, folding her napkin with surgical precision. We have noise. We require quiet. You will stop shifts for a few weeks. We will manage your appointments. We will move you to a residence where entrances are private and neighbors do not take enthusiastic photographs. You will avoid cluttered scenes. Cluttered scenes, Anna repeats lightly. Do you mean my home? It is quaint, the older woman says, and the word is a lace handkerchief covering a bruise. But proximity breeds risk. We want to protect you. Protect me from my life? Kong slides a thin folder toward her, a mirror of the one on the glass table that morning. Guidelines, temporarily. Think of them as guardrails on a mountain road. She doesn't open it. She looks at Jaemin, not accusing, just searching. You told me we'd tell the truth on our terms. We will, he says, and he means it, but the room is full of other meanings that hum and bite. This is my attempt to keep the wolves from the door. Wolves don't need doors, she says. They climb. Kong, voice gentle. Could we consider a soft explanation for time away from work? Anemia. No, she says, and the word is not loud, it's rooted. I won't lie about my body to bloat your peace. Jian's smile doesn't move. You are very young. I am very clear. The older woman lifts her teacup. Do you understand the scale of the stage you stepped onto, Anna? Men of this level don't get to behave privately. I didn't marry a level, Anna says. I married your son. For a heartbeat, Jian's gaze flickers. There, a quick, almost human startle, and then the porcelain settles back over everything. My son is not a man you keep in a small bowl on a kitchen shelf, she says. He belongs to a river. A river can hold a home, Anna answers. It just requires anchors. What do you want? Kong asks, as if the question were the same shape in every mouth. To do my job, to carry my child without apology, to walk into my own door without a press release, to decide my doctor, to not be moved like a vase. Jian places a checkbook on the table as if she were offering a biscuit. A support fund, 3 months away from work. A driver, clothes which say what we need them to say. Take this grace, and later, we present you beautifully. Beautifully. The word makes something old inside Anna bristle. The days she watched women who loved men with polished shoes refuse to be seen without permission. She thinks of her patients who fear the mirror after illness remakes them. She thinks of a child the size of a peach pit already listening. I will not be beautiful for your friends, she says. I will be honest for my family. You mistake honesty for honor, Jian murmurs. There is no honor in reckless exposure. There is no honor in hiding a child. Anna whispers back. The table becomes a cliff. Everything after this will fall somewhere. Jaemin reaches, palm up, a bridge. Amma, he says, voice soft but honed. I'm asking you to trust me. We will be careful. But we will not pretend this is a scandal. It's a life. And if your board disagrees? She asks. If the price drops 5 points because your wife posts a smiling photo with a stethoscope and a ring and a rumor, then it drops, he says, jaw aligned now. I'd rather rebuild numbers than repair a child who learns he was an inconvenience. The slightest flash in her eyes, anger, fear, memory, then gone. You will regret disobedience, she says as if discussing whether. I already regret obedience, he answers. They stand. Chairs whisper against carpet. Kong, ever collecting pieces, tucks the unused folder back into his bag. We're on your side, he tells Anna, and she believes that he believes it, which is different from believing it is true. Outside, the winter light is thin and unforgiving. They stop under the awning, wind catching the edges of the day. I'm sorry, he says before she can, because he knows the apology belongs in his mouth. I should have met you alone. I'm not angry, she says, surprising herself with the calm in it. I am awake. Anna, I will not go to your clinic. I will not move from my home. If security becomes necessary, fine, we'll talk. But I won't be boxed. Not now, not ever. Can you live with that? Yes, he says at once. Then, quieter, I think so. I want to. Wanting is not the same as choosing, she says, but she squeezes his fingers. Come with me to the lab tomorrow morning. We'll start there. His phone vibrates. A persistent, insect-like buzz that tries to make itself nature. He doesn't look. She does. A preview slides across the screen before it fades. Finance forum thread. Spotted, Director Han's wife with? He turns it face down, but the shape of alarm has already changed the air. The city cranes its neck. Back at the hospital, Anna signs in for the evening. The administrator calls her into a small office that smells of dry plants and old coffee. We've had inquiries, he says, fingers fussing with a paperclip. Just so you know, we will escalate to security if necessary. Discretion would be appreciated. I'm always discreet, she says, and the fatigue in her voice is a fine crack in glass. In the corridor, a junior nurse whispers, then blushes when Anna looks over. Sunhee moves toward her like a shield. You don't have to be brave all the time, she murmurs. I know, Anna says, but it helps when pretending. She makes her rounds. She charts. She breathes. Outside, the sky is the color of television static. A man in a cap loiters by the vending machines too long, then leaves. A text arrives from an unknown number. Is it true? She blocks it without replying. In a different kind of room, Jian sits without moving for a long time, the checkbook closed in front of her, the tea cold. She calls someone whose number is not in her phone because numbers like this don't exist in phones. Discreet, she says. Clean. I don't want a circus. I want quiet. On his way home, Jaemin looks out the car window at the city that made him and didn't ask him first. He thinks of the first beam of a house set yesterday, fragile but real. He thinks of guardrails and mountain roads. He thinks of the word anemia and wants to set it on fire. His phone lights again. Kong, heads up, 2 tabloids sniffing. Suggested line if pressed. No comment on rumors. Also, consider relocating Mrs. Han tonight. He types, deletes, types again. No relocation. No lies. Draft a line that says we're grateful for privacy and will speak when ready. Then put your phone down. He hits send. He doesn't put his phone down. He calls Anna. When she answers, the clatter of the ward is a comfort, proof of the world's unfancy heart. I'm here, he says, and hopes the sentence is true in more than one tense. Me too, she says, and hopes the same. It'll be quick, he says, voice small in the cold. In and out. I do in and out for a living, she answers, squeezing his sleeve. We'll be fine. They are until they're not. The blood draw is smooth, the phlebotomist humming an old ballad under her breath. Anna thanks her, starts to stand. Then the receptionist's face drains, eyes flicking to the door. A shadow passes the frosted glass. Another. The sound comes next. Metallic, insect, the rattle cascade of shutters being primed. Jaemin moves first. Back exit, he says, scanning the hall. The nurse points left. They slip past a stack of charts, into a corridor that smells like bleach and rain. For a moment you think they'll make it. They don't. Director Han, over here, confirm the pregnancy. The door swings wide and light explodes. Cameras bloom like dangerous flowers. A microphone nudges Anna's shoulder. Someone shouts her name wrong on purpose. Look this way, miss. How far along? Is it true the board didn't approve? Was this planned? A woman in a camel coat calls out in a sweet voice that cuts more than the shouting. Do you have a message for other girls who want to marry well? Anna's mouth goes dry. The cap feels too tight. She sees, suddenly, how she must look in their lenses. A nurse in cheap sneakers, a mask, a man's shadow at her side. She reaches for Jaemin's hand, finds it, anchors. He steps in front of her, palm up. Please step back, he says steady. We will make a statement later. Not now. Director Han, did you marry in secret because she's already... No comment, he says, and the words are reflex, training, a shield he thinks is neutral. They are not neutral. They land like an accusation made of absence. A reporter tilts her head at Anna. You, miss, was this a love match or a strategy? Anna feels the heat rise. She swallows it. Excuse me, she says softly, because she cannot be anything but herself. I need space. Her English is good. Someone snickers in Korean. Did she study for this? A security guard from the clinic finally muscles through, a wall of apology and broad shoulders. The cameras step back 2 inches, enough for air. They make it to the car. The door shuts, and silence slams into them. I'm sorry, he says, breathless. I didn't think. She stares at her hands. They are steady. You said no comment. I didn't want to feed them, he says quickly. Anything I say gets spun. They twist. They twisted me anyway, she says, and the calm in her voice is scarier than anger. You could have said my name. He opens his mouth, closes it. The driver asks, home or office, sir? And the question is a forked road disguised as politeness. Home, he says, but his phone vibrates so hard it might jump. Kong. Emergency board call in 20. Mother, come now. I'll drop you, then come back, he tells Anna. 1 hour. Do what you need, she says, more to herself than to him. The car glides through a city that knows how to stare without blinking. Outside her building, a scooter idles. 2 kids pretending they're not filming. She pulls her mask higher. Upstairs, the kitchen still smells like last night's broth. The napkin is gone. She put it away. The proof lives in a drawer, safer than she is. Her phone vibrates once, twice, then a wildfire. At first it's friends. Are you okay? Do you want me there? Then numbers she doesn't know. You're lucky. You're shameless. How much did it cost? She drops the phone into the sink as if that could drown noise. At the same time, his elevator opens into a conference room where glass is used the way other people use knives. The board is already seated. Jiun's expression is a wintry mask. Screens show graphs and, beside them, a low-res crop of a white plastic stick on a napkin, like an indecent still life. "We need control," someone says. "We need a message. The message is we're expecting," he says. "And we are grateful." "Grateful is not a strategy," another man replies. "The market will punish improvisation." Jian doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. "You will release something now. Calm, spare, and clean. No timeline. No confirmation. We ask for privacy. We confirm nothing." "No," he says. "We confirm us." "Then you confirm volatility," she returns. 5 points down turns into 10 turns into your resignation. Choose your romance or your responsibility. He thinks of Anna in the white corridor. His throat works. He looks at Kong. "Draft. We are married. We are expecting. We will share more when ready. Please respect our privacy." Kong hesitates. "Will soften expecting to happy news?" "Expecting," he repeats. By the time he gets back to her neighborhood, the lobby has grown a small audience. 2 women pretend to check mail while live streaming. A man in a suit offers a card. "We can manage your online presence." The doorman shakes his head in apology. He rides up, rehearsing sentences that feel like cups of water he's bringing to a fire he helped set. Anna doesn't open the door at first. She's sitting on the floor, back against the wood, listening to the tremble in the hallway air. "It's me," he says. "Please." She stands, breathes once, opens. His face is a map of things undone. He reaches for her, stops himself, tries again. She lets him. "I posted it," he says. "I told them the truth." Her phone pings from the sink, stubborn even in displacement. She retrieves it, wipes it with a towel without thinking. Checks. The statement is there from his official account, simple, 2 sentences, her name present like a light left on. Below it, 1,000 comments multiply into a hydra. "Congratulations. You ruined the merger. She's a climber. Protect the baby. Gold digger. Queen." She scrolls until the screen blurs. Then she puts it down. "They camped outside the clinic," she says. "A woman asked me if I had tips for girls who want to marry well." His knuckles go white. I should have pushed them back. I froze. "You were polite," she says, weary. "Polite is a kind of freeze." He nods. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't know how. "I'll fix it." "Fix what?" "The internet." She almost laughs. "Fix you. Fix us." "I'm trying," he says, and the truth of it is visible raw. Her phone rings, unknown number again. She silences it. A moment later, a message pops from the hospital. "Media at the front desk. Use staff entrance B. Security on alert." She closes her eyes. "They're at the ward." "I'll come with you," he says instantly. "And bring more cameras?" She shakes her head. "No, he takes the blow because he earned it." "Then I wait nearby. You text me if, she echoes, and the little word is a bridge over a canyon. At the hospital, the lobby has new rules that no one wrote. Whispers here, phones lower there, eyes that look and then look away. A reporter asks a volunteer for directions to obstetrics with a smile like a trick coin. Security does what it can, which is not quite enough. Son, he meets Anna at the side door, arms crossed like armor. "Come," she says. "I'll walk with you." They move through corridors that feel narrower than yesterday. A teenage daughter stares at Anna, then at the ring, then at the floor. A father pretends to read a pamphlet upside down. "It'll pass," Son, he murmurs. Storms always think they're permanent. In a patient room, an old woman with a braid as thin as a string clucks her tongue. "They say things because their mouths are bored," she tells Anna. "Ignore boredom." Anna smiles, thanks her, checks vitals, adjusts a blanket. The routine steadies her hands even as her heart skates. But routine cannot redraw a world. On her way back from the lab, a camera flash blooms around the corner, a lens peeking from behind a vending machine. She stops, too late. "Don't," she says, and the man grins. "Just doing my job," he replies. "So am I," she says and walks on. By evening, the headlines have multiplied like mold. A gossip site publishes a collage. Anna in scrubs, Anna laughing blurry on a sidewalk, a still of her hand near a drawer with a caption that might as well be a verdict. The comments split open, and something sour spills. She reads one by accident. Gold digger nurse thinks she's better than us. She reads another and feels the floor tilt. She stops reading. She sits on the edge of the staff bed, coat still on, cap still low, the fluorescent light insisting. Her phone buzzes. His message outside in the car. Food in the back seat. If you don't want to see me, I'll leave it. She swallows. After a minute, she texts. Leave it. He does. Dumplings, rice, tangerines. A note. I will do better than no comment. I swear it. On his drive back, he answers a call from his mother because he has to. You painted a target, she says. I drew a line, he answers. Lines are for crossing, she says. Targets are for shooting. He hangs up shaking, sits in the dark of his car 2 blocks from her building until the streetlight cycles through patterns no one notices. He thinks of the question she asked that morning, which timeline, and feels how all his timelines are threads pulled too tight. Near midnight, Anna lets herself into her apartment. Lights off. She eats a dumpling over the sink like a thief. She washes her face, watches water bead on her cheeks like proof she can still feel. On the wall, the blurry photo of their courthouse grin holds, stubborn. The ring catches a stray streak glow. She opens the drawer with the tests, places them back on the napkin. She stands very still. Somewhere beneath her palm, a heartbeat is impossible to hear and impossible to ignore. The phone on the counter vibrates once more, a new alert crawling across the lock screen. Breaking. Exclusive claims from a family friend. She doesn't tap it. She doesn't need to. She understands the shape of the next blow even before it lands. In the window, the city looks indifferent. Lights on, lights off. Somebody's laughter in a nearby stairwell. A siren deciding who to visit. She breathes as if teaching her body a lesson it will need again. In, hold, out. The humiliation of the day sits beside her on the counter, swinging its legs, trying to make itself a roommate. Son, he walks her in like a bodyguard. Don't look, she says. I can hear without looking. Anna answers, and it's true. The comments move like air under doors. She makes it through 2 rounds and a charting session before the administrator calls her. The office feels like a smaller version of every room in the world that makes women sit to be spoken to. A printout lies on the desk with her face halved by a red circle. Anna, he starts gently. We're proud of your work, but this attention, patients are uncomfortable. Staff too. Temporarily, perhaps you can disappear, she supplies because she knows the word. Step back. He corrects and looks sorry in the way people do when they want to be kind and safe at the same time. Her phone buzzes. Calm. Please join quick sync at Hanul urgent. It will be short, she tells the administrator, the lie small and necessary. At the tower, the lobby is colder than yesterday, or maybe she is. Security leads her to a room with a table long enough to set 3 dinners and still have space for a war. Jihyun sits at the end, immaculate grief that hasn't earned itself. Jaemin is beside an empty chair, fingers pressed together like he's holding a fragile thing between them. Kong stands by a screen where words like risk and sentiment are arranged with the tidiness of a storm seen from space. Thank you for coming, Kong says. Let's make this efficient. Let's make this human, Anna replies, taking the chair without asking permission. Jihyun regards her with an interest that feels like appraisal. You've caused a very loud morning, she says softly. Anna breathes in through her nose. I'm pregnant, not a broadcast. Both things can be true, the older woman murmurs. We have a plan. You will take a rest. We will move you to a residence with underground parking and no curious neighbors. We will arrange an exclusive with a sympathetic magazine, control the tone, the photographs. Gentle lighting. You say as little as possible and look like serenity. I look like my life, Anna says. And I'm keeping my job. Kong tries to catch her eyes with a softer net. We can say sabbatical. The signals care, not conflict. People respond well to health. Health is not your prop, she says. Jiyeon folds her hands. Diamond's quiet. A storm does not ask if you like rain before it falls. You take shelter. Anna turns to Jaemin. And you? He hesitates, and the pause is a cliff. If we could do this for a little while, he says carefully, it would give us room to breathe, just until the announcement. Then just until, she repeats, almost to herself. I hear that phrase in a lot of cages. It's not a cage, he says quickly. It's a door I'm holding shut so the wolves don't enter. Wolves don't need doors, she whispers, remembering yesterday. We talked about this. I remember, he says, and his eyes plead. I'm trying to build us a shield. Jiyeon smiles, victory like perfume. You see, he is reasonable. Be reasonable with him. Anna's heartbeat thuds in her ears. She pictures the clinic hall, the microphone jabbing her shoulder, the hospital corridor, the lens peeking by a vending machine, the old woman with the braid telling her to ignore boredom. She pictures a heartbeat she can't yet hear but already feels responsible for. I can't be reasonable with wolves, she says. I can only refuse to bleed for them. Kang's voice is professional compassion. Then for optics, no photos for a while. We'll send a stylist to... No, she stands, the chair sighs. No more guidelines. No more softened language to excuse your comfort. You want quiet? Learn to be quiet yourselves. Anna, Jaemin says softer, like he could thread a bridge from that single syllable. Please, 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. She looks at him and finds the man who slices pears, the way she likes, and behind him the boy who wanted to please a father who trained him like a soldier. She also finds the executive who has been taught that compromise is love in a language that never asked her to speak. Ask me for something you can carry by yourself, she says. Not something you set on my back. His face tightens, and for a blink he looks like his mother. Hard lines, expensive resolve. It's not who he is, but it's a costume that fits too easily. I'm not your enemy, he says. I wish this room didn't make you sound like one, she answers. Then to Jiyeon, I won't move. I won't be styled. I will go to my own doctor. I will work as long as my body says yes. If you want to protect your merger, stop throwing stones at my windows. Jiyeon's expression doesn't flicker. If you insist on being stubborn, at least be discreet. Silence your social channels. And do not post anything celebratory. Celebratory, Anna repeats. Like a child. Like a mistake. The older woman says, smooth as winter. The word fractures the air. Even Kang inhales. Jaemin flinches as if he was struck. Amma, he says sharply. But the word hangs there, smoking. Anna doesn't cry. The room waits for her to cry. The room is hungry for it. She picks up her bag, the strap warm from her palm. She nods to Kang, who looks more tired than unkind, and to no one else. Thank you for the meeting, she says, because politeness can be a blade if you hold it right. In the corridor, he catches her shoulder. Don't go like this, he whispers. Don't leave me in this room. I'm not leaving you, she says, and the crack in her voice betrays her. I'm leaving this. I'll come to you tonight, he promises. We'll talk without them. We could have talked here, she says, stepping backward. You asked me to be reasonable first. She doesn't wait for the elevator. She takes the stairs, each flight unwinding something knotted. Back at her apartment, the afternoon leans heavy against the windows. She closes the curtains like closing a book that's reading her. She takes a shower longer than usual, because the water doesn't ask for anything except skin. When she steps out, the apartment is too quiet. The ring winks on her finger like an eye that sees too much. She moves deliberately. A small overnight bag. A sweater, 2 shirts, leggings, the softest socks, the cardigan that smells like microwave tangerines because she wore it on night shifts, prenatal vitamins, a photo of her mother, creased at the corners. She opens the drawer. The tests lie on their napkin, pale flags. Sanhee knocks. She doesn't ask how Anna is. She looks at her face and knows. Where do you want to be? She asks instead. Somewhere the air doesn't echo, Anna says. For a while. I can call my aunt. Son, he offers. Busan. She has a room above the cafe. No one knows you there. The word arrives with salt and gulls. Busan, Anna repeats, tasting escape and exile at once. You don't owe anyone notice, son, he says gently. You owe the baby peace. Anna sits at the little table where the tests lay last night and takes out stationery she keeps for letters she never writes. The first sentence is the hardest because it stands alone while the others are still deciding to come. She writes in a hand steadier than her breath. I love you. I believe you are good, and I believe goodness can be a choice you make every day. Today, I need to choose our child over your mother's calendar and your board's weather. I need quiet that isn't bought with lies. When you can stand beside me without saying, just until, find me. Until then, please don't look with cameras. She stops, presses her lips together, adds, this is not punishment. It is protection. For us. She folds it, slides the ring off, cool metal, warm indent on skin, and places both in a small bowl where they keep coins and keys. She hesitates, then writes one more thing on a sticky note and sticks it to the bowl. Save the edges. Her phone lights with his name. She watches it ring. She doesn't pick up because any voice between now and the door will become a root. She texts instead, I need time. I'm safe. Don't come now. He calls again. She powers the phone down, heart bucking. On the street, the light has turned the color of a bruise. She wears the cap low, the mask high, the bag strap across her chest. In the stairwell, she passes the neighbor who took the photo, eyes sliding away in sudden shame. I'm sorry, the woman blurts, unexpected. I didn't think. You did, Anna says softly. But now you are. She steps into air that tastes like leaving. At the bus terminal, people are busy with their own endings and beginnings, which is a kind of mercy. She buys a ticket with cash, sits near the back, keeps her palms on her knees as if steadying a trembling table. The driver starts the engine. It sounds like a large animal clearing its throat before a long run. The city shrinks by degrees. Glass becomes brick, becomes trees that remember how to be unobserved. When the bus hums onto the highway, she lets herself look out the window. Night climbs fast in winter, and the world becomes a ribbon of lights that don't care who you are. She presses her palm to her belly through her coat. We're going to find quiet, she whispers, and the sentence makes tears threaten for the first time all day. She blinks them back. They fall anyway. Across the river, he rides the elevator up with a panic that tastes like metal. The apartment door opens to a stillness that feels wrong. The bowl by the door holds a letter and a circle of silver that used to be a promise and is now a question. He sees the sticky note and his chest caves. Save the edges. Anna? He calls, absurd instinct, as if she might answer from a new corner of a room that has no corners left. He doesn't open the letter right away because opening it will make everything real. He walks into the kitchen, sees the pear he bought 2 days ago, not quite ripe, hard, patient. He picks up the knife. His hands shake. The city goes on printing headlines without them. In the bus window, his face appears sometimes in the glass when she leans her head there by habit, then disappears as the road curves. He will read the letter. He will call again. He will make statements that were promises in another tense. Tonight, she chooses a different grammar. A bed in a room above a cafe, the smell of coffee and sea, the discipline of breathing for two. Somewhere between kilometers, the part of her that wanted to be celebrated lays down on a bench and sleeps. The part of her that wants to be safe wakes and keeps watch. Anna, he says into the apartment, voice small. It has the acoustics of a church after everyone has gone home. He calls. It goes to voicemail. He doesn't leave a message the first time because anything he says feels like writing on fog. The second time he tries. I'm here. I hear you. I don't know how to be the man who isn't just until yet, but I'm going to learn. Please tell me where you are or don't. Just tell me you're warm. He stops, swallows. I love you. I'll save the edges. He sets the phone down face up, as if it might keep vigil. The room is exactly as she left it and completely different. the cup with a crack that she refused to throw away, the photo on the wall curling at the corners, their courthouse grin holding under a square of sun, the pear on the counter, finally ripe enough to give. He washes his hands, the ritual steadying him, and reaches for the knife. He cuts carefully, the way she taught him, thin arcs, the waist trimmed to almost nothing, the crisp sound of skin surrendering. He eats standing up, juice sticky on his fingertips, and it feels like prayer, like apology, like a man trying to prove to an empty room that he remembers what matters. The elevator gives up a person he didn't invite. His mother doesn't knock. Jian steps in and takes in details like a customs officer. Her eyes land on the bowl, the silver moon inside it. She left, she says, not a question. She needed quiet, he answers, wiping his hands on a towel with more precision than necessary. We didn't give it. I offered quiet, she replies. You rejected it. You offered control, he says, not turning. You called a child a mistake. She doesn't flinch. You have a merger in 12 days. You have a board that smells blood. You have a public that likes the sound of virtue but invests in stability. Find her or find your spine, preferably both. He looks at her fully then, and the distance between the boy who wanted her approval and the man who wants to protect a life he made is measurable and terrible. I will find my wife when she asks to be found, he says, and I will find my spine without your map. She moves her gaze to the sticky note. Edges. She reads, amused or confused, he can't tell. Domestic poetry. She sets a folder on the table, printouts, crisis memos, words like volatility and leak in emphatic fonts. Sleep, she advises coolly. Tomorrow you will need a face that doesn't tremble. When the door closes, the silence grows back like a wound knitting too fast. He lies on the couch and doesn't sleep. He listens to the apartment breathe, the refrigerator motor, the timer on the heater, a pipe knocking like someone trying to come back. He wakes at 3 from a dream where he's pounding on a bus that won't stop while the driver smiles like a reporter and the road eats his shoes. By morning, work is a machine that has been idling angrily all night. The elevator doors open to Kang's clipped whisper and Minsu's frantic thumb over a screen. Director, Minsu says, keeping pace with him. Sentiment dipped after the family friend story, but your post blunted the curve. Now there's a rumor thread claiming your wife is in a secret facility. We've squashed 3 hashtags. Stop squashing, he says. We tell truth when we tell anything. The rest we ignore. That creates vacuum, Kang warns. Vacuum fills itself. Then let it, he says, and the confidence sounds borrowed, but he tries it on anyway. At his desk, the skyline looks expensive and far away. He opens his calendar, cancels dinner with investors, reschedules a strategy call for early morning when his mind is less dangerous. He types a message to Anna and deletes it and types again. I respect your quiet. I will not post, I will not seek with cameras. If you need money, a car, a doctor, won't ask questions. If you want just silence, I will learn that language. He doesn't send it because it feels like smuggling himself into a room she locked for safety. Instead, he texts Sunhee, the one friend of Anna's he knows enough to trust. Do you know if she's safe? I won't ask where. Safe comes back after too long. Don't make me lie in more words. Thank you, he replies and doesn't ask more. He tries to work. The words on the screen arrange themselves into neat paragraphs that say nothing. He stands at the window and watches the stray cat outside the revolving doors take up its post. A small kingdom on a sunlit patch of stone. Someone sets a hand to pet it. It tolerates exactly 2 strokes and darts away like a rumor that refuses to be domesticated. A knock. Minsu again, bringing coffee and news. 2 outlets are running with abandoned air headlines. Legal wants to consider injunct. No lawsuits, he says. We won't look like a giant trying to step on ants. Minsu hesitates, then lowers his voice. Sir, do you know where she is? No, he says, and it tastes like shame. She asked me not to come. Minsu nods, a softness in his eyes that belongs to the kid who came from a town with no towers. My sister ran when her husband kept choosing his father, he says, surprising them both. She needed to hear "I choose you" without a clock in the room. He swallows. When she heard it, she came back. "Thank you," Jamin says, "for telling me something human." The day goes on in slices, calls where he says less than before and means more, emails where he removes every sentence that tries to apologize for love. At lunch, he stands outside and eats street tteokbokki with a toothpick, burning his mouth on purpose. He thinks of her above a cafe, maybe, or in a spare room that smells like someone else's soap. He hopes the sheets are clean and the window faces a tree. Afternoon brings a board meeting that could have been an ambush but is only a siege. Numbers appear, arguments sharpen. The word fiduciary gets worn like armor. He listens and says almost nothing until the end, when someone suggests, smooth as oil, that perhaps someone with a less complicated personal moment should front the announcement roadshow. He looks at the faces that taught him how to stall and then drown. "Do your worst arithmetic," he says quietly, "but don't use my wife as a decimal." He stands. "If I'm not the face, I'll be the spine." Either way, the company stands upright. Meeting adjourned. He doesn't wait for permission to leave. Outside, the cat is back, indifferent and loyal to nothing but its own son. He walks past it to the river because he needs water that isn't bottled. The wind is sharp. The sky is the color of a decision delayed. He leans on the railing where he once told her a lie honest enough to hurt. "If I have to choose, I don't know how." And he hears himself answer now, only in his head, "Choose then. Choose and pay." His phone buzzes, and for a second the world pivots. Unknown number. He answers anyway. "Director Han?" A woman says, voice clean as a bell. "Kim from a Busan cafe. A friend said you might be hungry. We have soup on the stove if you happen to pass by in the next few days. No journalists, I promise." He closes his eyes. He could ask 100 questions. He could drive all night. He could kick down whatever door stands between them and call it romance. He remembers the letter. This is not punishment. It is protection. For us. "Thank you," he says, and his voice is almost steady. "Keep the soup warm for people who really need it. I might visit another time." "If you do," she says, amused. "Come hungry." He hangs up and laughs once. A cracked thing that lets in air. He texts Sun Hee. "Tell whoever is feeding her that I'm grateful." "I won't come." Talana, "No, don't. Don't tell her anything. Let her breathe." Evening slides in without apology. He goes home not because he wants to but because that's where the letter is. He reads it again at the table, the empty chair opposite him full of everything that matters. He writes a reply on plain paper he finds in a drawer. He doesn't know where to send it, so he folds it and tucks it behind the photo on the wall like a promise to himself. "I choose you with the lights off, with no statements, with no timelines. I will not say just until. I will learn how to stand and not perform." He signs it with the sloppy version of his name he hasn't used since school. He washes the knife and dries it and sets it in the drawer at the back, as if hiding blades could ward off cuts. He places the ring back in the bowl without touching it, as if it were sleeping. He turns off the lights and sits with the dark until it stops feeling like an accusation and starts feeling like a room. When sleep finally comes, it isn't gentle. He dreams of corridors and microphones and a door that opens to see air and coffee, and he stops himself at the threshold because love is not a chase scene. He wakes at 5 with the answer lodged like a stone. He will wait in motion. He will pull back from the kind of leadership that requires the sacrifice of the person he loves. He will build something quieter that doesn't need cameras to exist. He will make room for a child who is not a narrative. He dresses in comfortable clothes that do not photograph well. On the way out, he touches the sticky note with 2 fingers, a benediction. "Save the edges." "I'm trying," he tells the empty apartment, and this time the room doesn't echo. It absorbs. Below, the cat blinks at him, unimpressed. He buys 2 cans of food from the convenience store and sets one down. "Temporary truce," he tells it, and it pretends not to hear while eating like it earned everything. He smiles, the kind that hurts less. The cafe is half awake. Lights on in the kitchen. A radio low with an old trot song that believes in mornings. A woman in a flour-dusted apron looks up, eyes quick and kind. "You're Anna," she says without ceremony. "I'm Auntie Kim. Sunhee is my niece who bosses me around. Come, before my courage fades." "Thank you," Anna says, and her throat surprises her. She didn't know gratitude could sting. The room upstairs is simple. White walls, a blue quilt, a window that frames a sliver of sea like someone cut a postcard and taped it to the world. A kettle rests on a hot plate. On the bedside table, someone has left ginger tea and a note with a smile drawn in a wonky circle. "For queasy miracles." "Cash only," Auntie Kim says gently. "Not because I don't trust you, because I don't trust phones." "I have cash," Anna assures her, "and I can help downstairs." "You can help by sleeping," the woman says. "Then you can carry plates." She softens. "I know who you are. I do not know your business. Eat first, then tell me only what doesn't bruise you." Downstairs, the cafe fills with the workers who make cities possible. Dockhands with hands like rope. A teacher grading papers between sips. The soft chaos is a bomb. Orders called, steam kissed, coins counted. Auntie Kim wedges a bowl of juk and a plate of pickles on Anna's table. "Eat. The baby will complain if you don't." "The baby already does," Anna says, surprising herself with the small, shaky laugh. She takes a spoonful. Warmth rises from her stomach to her eyes. A bell tinkles. A man in a windbreaker leans at the counter. "You're new," he says friendly, reading nothing into it. "Temporary," she answers. "Borrowed time. We all live on borrowed something," he shrugs. "Welcome," she buys. A cheap phone at a corner shop that still sells paper fans and thread. The number is clean in her hand, a small circle she can choose who to draw inside. She sends one text. "Safe. Resting. Please don't tell him where. Thank you for finding me a soft place to land." Sunhee's reply pops up. "I won't. Breathe. The sea can hold what the city drops." She finds a clinic 2 blocks away, a door chime like a polite knock and a rack of pamphlets that all say, "Don't be afraid," in different fonts. The doctor is a woman with a tired voice and eyes that don't miss things. 5 weeks, Dr. Seo asks, glancing at the chart. "Maybe 6, Anna says. "I did blood work yesterday, but the world got loud. We'll tune it down." Dr. Seo does the math again out loud as if counting might steady both of them. "No bleeding, no nausea. Like my stomach forgot how to be a hand." The doctor smiles. "That will pass. Not today, but one day." She looks up, sees the way Anna's fingers twist the strap of her bag. "Do you need a note for work?" "I need a note for not being found." Dr. Seo pauses, then tears a page from a pad, writes a line in her neat hand. "Here is my number. Use the back entrance if you need to. And if cameras appear, they drink coffee at the shop 2 streets over, not mine. We are very boring here." "Thank you," Anna says, and the way she says it makes the doctor look away so she doesn't cry in solidarity. Back at the cafe, she learns the choreography of plates and mugs, the origin of each regular's nickname. Uncle June is not an uncle but an old fisherman who claims the sea owes him rent. Ghost is a boy who never speaks above a murmur and always sits by the door. When Anna wipes tables, people look at her the way people look at new wallpaper, curious for a day. Then it's just the wall. "You can sit," Auntie Kim scolds. "You're the type that wears your body out and then asks why it's tired." "I'm the type who needs to prove she's more than headlines," Anna admits. "Prove it by eating the last bun," the older woman retorts, sliding it over. In the afternoons she sleeps, the kind of heavy sleep that feels like falling through clean water. At dusk she walks along the harbor. The cranes become dark bones against rose sky. Somewhere a radio plays a love song that promises too much and believes every word. She puts a hand on her belly and says very ordinary things. "We need more socks," and "I will find a job that doesn't spin," and "I am not sorry you exist." At night, the cafe quiets into the kind of place where secrets could be spoken without echo. A stray cat appears on the back stairs, a shadow with whiskers. Anna leaves a small bowl of warm milk, winces at herself, replaces it with water. Boundaries, she mutters, half to the cat, half to herself. We're learning. A week hums past in little acts of building a life. She volunteers 2 mornings at a church basement clinic where the paperwork is held together with binder clips and love. She takes blood pressure. She translates for a Vietnamese grandmother whose son works double shifts. She holds the wrist of a man withdrawing from something and says, "Stay." When nausea rules the morning, she sits with it, ginger under her tongue. She counts coins and accepts help and does not apologize for either. Once, outside the market, a scooter slows. A phone angle tilts. She turns her face toward a shelf of dried anchovies and breathes through her nose until the world becomes fish and salt and not fear. The scooter moves on. She doesn't know if she escaped or was ignored. Both feel like a reprieve bought with attention she cannot spare. One evening, as she's stacking cups, the door tinkles and a voice she recognizes from all the rooms she ever felt small and says, "Coffee to go." Her heart trips. She looks up and sees only a delivery driver, helmet shadowing his face. He reads her reaction, shakes his head. "Not a journalist. I swear on my mother's patience." He lowers the visor and laughs. "Better not. She has none." "Sorry," she breathes, and the apology tastes like old habits she wants to break. "Don't be." He taps his helmet. "World's noisy. Keep your volume." He leaves a tip too big for coffee and exits with a wave that breaks the spell. At night, she writes letters she doesn't send. To the baby. "Today, someone told me I was brave and I didn't argue." To him. "Today, I stood next to the sea until my fear learned the shape of the shore." To herself. "Today, you ate the last bun, and the world didn't end." The new phone lives face down. Twice, she almost texts him a picture of the sea. Once, she dials and hangs up before the first ring, because calling would turn quiet into negotiation. She dreams sometimes that he's at the door downstairs, breathless, holding a pear in a paper bag like a talisman, saying the words she asked for, "No, just until," and in the dream she believes him completely, and the believing feels like air. She wakes and teaches herself to believe in other things first. The thrift of cutting fabric to make a curtain. The generosity of a neighbor who leaves tangerines. The stubborn way her body keeps becoming home. She throws up once in the alley and laughs about it with Auntie Kim 5 minutes later. "I cried when my first child stole my lunch from the inside," the older woman says. "Then I cried when he left and I could finish a bowl again. Will I stop crying?" Anna asks. "No," Auntie Kim says, "but the reasons will improve." On a Sunday, church bells ring and she stays in bed because fatigue has made a city inside her bones. The window is open a finger's width. The smell of bread and tide finds the gap. She hears footsteps on the stairs. 1, 2, pause. A knock. Her heart knocks back. "Anna?" A voice says, and for an instant she is both drowning and saved. It's not him. It's Ghost. The boy who whispers. He holds a paper bag forward like an offering. "Auntie Kim said you were sleeping. She told me not to wake you, but I'm bad at instructions." Until. I will not say almost. I am filling rooms I can live inside. Some are small and honest. Today, I learned how to swaddle a foam baby and how to breathe without thinking about shareholders. I can't find you without breaking what you built, so I won't. But if a letter can sit on a counter without chasing you, let this one sit. Open it when you want or burn it if fire is kinder. I love you with the lights off. I love you in contracts we did not sign. I am saving the edges. He adds the ginger, the crackers, a small jar of pear jam he found at a street stall because it felt like a promise he could keep. He seals the envelope, writes no return address, hands it to a courier with Sun He's name on it and a single instruction. Only deliver if safe, only if asked. In her borrowed room, afternoon drops softly, the sea slipping into a darker dialect. Ghost, Min, appears at the top of the stairs and knocks once, solemn. Auntie says sit, he announces. You're getting circles under your circles. Anna follows him down to a table by the window. Auntie Kim pours barley tea and speaks like the general she is. If a letter arrives, I will not hand it to you unless your hands ask, she declares. I do not serve storms. Anna's mouth curves. What if it's a letter from the gas company? I will still ask your hands, Auntie says. I trust hands more than faces. The bell tinkles. Two grandmothers enter, still arguing about fish prices, argue their way through half the pastries, argue their way out the door, having forgotten what they came to say. The cafe returns to its baseline, a hum that neither demands nor judges. Later, after dishes and the ritual of feeding the cat who refuses to be named, Auntie slips a padded envelope onto the counter and rests her palm on it like a lid. She doesn't look at Anna. For when, she says, not if. Anna's throat tightens. Not now, she whispers. Not now, Auntie repeats, and tucks it beneath the counter, beside extra napkins and the box of blunt pencils. At dusk, she walks the harbor. The cranes are skeletons, the sky a bruise that chooses its own healing. She almost texts him a picture of a tied line that looks like handwriting. She doesn't. She buys a strip of ultrasound-safe vitamins from a pharmacy with a bell that sounds like a gentle warning. On a corner, a woman with a sharp bob glances too long, then looks away. The scooters are louder tonight, fewer fish, more eyes. Anna presses her palm to her belly through her coat. We are not a headline, she tells whatever air is listening. We are a story only we have to read. In Seoul, he's finally walking back to his car when Minsu catches up, breath fogging. Sir, rumor is you're not fronting the roadshow. Is that true? Rumor is learning patience, he says. We will announce together, or we won't. Minsu shifts, decides to be brave. She left because she loves you, he blurts. Not because she doesn't. I know, he says. Now I have to love her in a way that doesn't make her leave. At home, the apartment holds the same photograph with its secret on the back and the same bowl with the same ring catching refractory light. He moves the ring so it doesn't glare at the door. Stay, he tells the room, and he isn't sure if he means himself or everything else. 2 days pass in a new kind of time. He attends meetings and does not consent to be devoured. He eats food that isn't photogenic and keeps his phone on Do Not Disturb except for 3 names. His father's number, which will never call, Sun Hee, and unknown Busan, because hope needs a label even when it shouldn't. 2 days pass for her in soup and salt and naps that go all the way to the bottom. She dreams once that she is back in the boardroom, pregnant with light, and everyone is blindfolded and applauding the dark. She wakes laughing, sharp, disbelieving, and Auntie Kim thumps the ceiling once with a broom handle to shoo the dream away. On the 3rd morning, Auntie waits until Anna has finished a bowl of juk and exactly 5 pickles before lifting the counter flap. She places the envelope on the table between a sugar jar and a vase of stubborn daisies, then steps back. Your hands asked, she says simply. I heard them. Anna looks at it like she might look at a shoreline she once drowned near. Her pulse counts. She touches the corner. She pulls it back. She hears the sea insisting on its existence outside the window. She picks it up and brings it close to her face as if her eyes could smell what's inside. Not yet, she decides, heart aching with both hunger and caution. She slides it beneath her palm and leaves it there while she pours another tea, while she serves a customer, while she laughs at something Min says that isn't funny but is kind. The weight doesn't change. It just becomes something her hand can carry without shaking. By evening, she has the envelope in her bag, unopened, its corners softening against a wallet, a comb, a strip of mints. She walks to the water with it and sits on a low wall where children balance like gymnasts and fall into their parents' arms. The sky goes from metal to apricot to a color she doesn't have a name for. I'll open you when I can welcome what you bring, she tells the letter. Not before. Back in Seoul, he sits at the prenatal class again, this time on purpose, this time on time. The instructor teaches partners how to stand behind and breathe together. Count for them, she says. Be their metronome. With your mouth, with your hands. He stands behind empty space and whispers, in 2, 3, 4, into air that does not laugh at him. He feels ridiculous and whole. When class lets out, the janitor nods again like they share a secret. Maybe they do. In Seoul, the morning opens its mouth and swallows him whole. He steps into the elevator with a paper bag, ginger coins and bland crackers, a small jar of pear jam, the offerings he can't yet deliver. The doors slide shut on a text from Kong. Emergency session, full.